So you might have asked yourself at one point in time, why is it that when people reach about 50 that they stop getting up to go to use the bathroom and they start wearing diapers? And if you haven't noticed this, you've probably noticed in the past 20 years, diapers have started appearing on the shelves for adults. So if you haven't seen it happen, then you've seen that it's either happening somewhere or they're trying to scam someone, right? And I've always asked myself, how does that happen? Like I see like a little, I see like I can pinch my skin hair, and I'm fat, so we ain't doing that. And I gained 5 pounds, and I'm like, oh shit, this is getting hard to carry all this around. 5 pounds muscle or fat, and I'm like, well, he definitely ain't gonna be doing that shit, right? And it makes you wonder. So, why the fuck would anyone do that, right? Why would someone be like 600 pounds or refuse to go to the bathroom? And you're instantly like, well, that's a lazy person, right? It's the same two in one. You're so lazy you don't get up off the couch and you just piss yourself instead. And then you're so lazy you just don't move so you don't lose weight. And you're also addicted to food. You got to be addicted to food for some reason, or you're lazy skinny. So you have to have both of those. So it's not just one thing if that were the case. But then I got older and I realized, looking back at my life, well, I'm not really in control here, am I? Other people are forcing their way into my lives. Since my birth, there's a pedophile mutilation ritual that like the whole city comes in on. And the whole world. Rome invented it, and we're 6,000 miles away from Rome. If you want to walk and swim to Rome from here, you'll get there in 3 years. So how the fuck did that end up here? Technically, it came from that pyramid on the dollar bill. So that's another fucking 1-2 years it's going to take you to get back there. So you look at that and you realize, like, life looks futile. But guess what? The people doing that to you tell you it's not. And to be hopeful, and things are going to change one day. Yeah. And then, by the time you get 20, 30, 40, you realize it's too late for things to change. And you've been scammed. And I imagine that what these people are doing is the aliens they've been working with, the Terminators, probably aliens hiding behind them, but for now they haven't terminated the robots. So, whichever, they're still aliens, aren't they? They're not humans. But I kind of guess that what they're doing is they're saying no. This is the ultimate form of saying no. Refusing to stop eating, refusing to get up and go pay Arnold Schwarzenegger to watch him flex his butt on stage, and refusing to. You got to realize, once you reach a certain age, you're realizing these things that. What if I just say no? I'm not going to go to the bathroom, and I'm going to piss on you. I'm going to piss on your couch. I'm going to piss on your house. I'm going to piss on your carpet. You really do reach a point where you begin to understand, well, what are you going to do if everyone does that? Are you going to run away and cry? Do you think you have enough Nazis on the planet to enforce it? Don't you think the steroids and the meth are going to destroy their cardiovascular system and make them all die of an early age? Don't you think that's going to happen? You notice, too, with America, with the new invention of people learning how to say no, that they also invented a new human subspecies. Probably clones at the clone factory, the giant sized seraphim and shit. Probably new Nazi enforcers. It's my best guess what it really is. And then they hide it and it's all so great. And because everything's great. And pedophilia is great. That's why it's called circumcision. That's why it's done for for the greatest people on the planet because they're great, because great is great. But it makes me realize, like, this is the ultimate form of saying no to these people, these slime monsters. I mean, they become a slime monster too. You got to realize, like, they're becoming, what they're saying no to. But it's kind of the answer. It's like when people are trying to kill you and you're not a killer, the answer is to become a killer and eliminate the problem. And so when Jabba the Hutt needs someone to go grab Leia for him, Weinstein, Epstein, Donald Trump, whichever one of them you know personally, whatever name they've got, Stein or Berg, whatever. Whichever one you know what they're not going to be able to do is anything. It's Jabba the Hutt. It can't even move. It has someone on call to go bring it food. How is it enslaving the planet? Because it's got someone else to do that for. Now, what if Leia... Two things here. Now, what if Princess Leia just refused to stop eating and refused to go to the bathroom? Do you think Jabba the Hutt would be obsessed with her and send people to kidnap her and have them chain her up to him? Probably not. He'd probably have to go to some other galaxy and find that. And on top of that, he would have to hire 17 people to kidnap her instead of one, because she'd be a Jabba the Hutt and they'd have to have 18 people dragging her in on chains because she's so fat. And those 18 people are going to want to get paid more because she's going to smell like piss from her adult diapers and shit that she hasn't changed for years. And from what I've seen, this actually looks like, no sympathy, no pity involved for people who are those people. When Jabba the Hutt grows up from a young, sexy boy to Jabba the Hutt, because he's been working with Jabba the Hutt for his whole life, and he figured out one day, well, the answer to defeat this is to either I stop doing it or I do what they do, and they chose to do what they do instead of stop telling other people to do it. There's no sympathy there. But how does that happen? And I see the same way. Like this looks like paradise to me. Most people are telling me that's paradise. Like everyone I know, that's paradise to them. They're laying around, all the females I know, that's paradise. They're laying around watching TV. They're turning into Jabba the Hutt. And now they're going to need, Luke Skywalker or something. They're going to need someone to kidnap Luke Skywalker for them and chain him up to him and shit. But they learned that from somewhere. It looks like they might have learned that from somewhere. Because what's going on in the world, that's pretty much what it is. It's invisible. It's not invisible people doing it. It's visible people doing it, telling you it ain't them. Like Jabba the Hutt, he's real invisible, ain't he? But I begin to see, that's an answer. I spent my life, being, winning marathons and athletic. I carry around, my body weight and shit all the time, just like it ain't nothing. And I never met a person who did that. It's always Jabba the Hutt. Jabba the Hutt's always sending someone to snatch me and shit. And so that's a total waste there. I'm working out for Jabba the Hutt and shit. I'm taking care of myself. Literally, Jabba the Hutt taught me this shit. And I'm thinking, and from what I can see, the best reason they evolved to Jabba the Hutt would be the same thing. Is because they had spent their life working for Jabba the Hutt and might have figured out that the answer is the only thing you can do is just say no to them. Just say no. What are they gonna? They're already beating you. They're already drugging you. They're already forcing you to have sex with them. They're already raping you. They're already mutilating you. If you're a man, from the second you're born. Now the souls are of less value in these nations, so they don't do that to them. The souls are the Java tools, but they're the ones teaching me to worship Java, and then later in life it looks like they might be figuring out to start being Java because they're losing every step of the way. You know, like that's not your first fucking thought when any of these people say a single word to you. Don't come crying once you join. And don't come crying about a world you created and shit to me. Fucking. But that's part of Jabba's plan. And, you know, Jabba the Hutt's like, oh God, Leia, it's such a hard life, Leia. You gotta be my slave. I can't move to get cheeseburgers, Leia. Go get me some cheeseburgers. And Leia's like, ooh, no, you're disgusting. Get away from me. I have a boyfriend. And Jabba's like, no, it's evil. You're saying. You gotta help me. And then, yeah. Anyway, so I begin to wonder if that's not what's happening here. Because I see the stuff happening and I realize, like, this is the answer. Like, whatever it takes. And you see they're not dying either. So Jabba the Hutt wants you to go to the doctors and go work out and get on stage in a bikini and flex your butt on stage for a trophy type shit. They want that, but I'm not seeing these people dying, you know? They're like 50, 60, 70, and they look like Jabba the Hutt. It's like, wait a minute. I thought Jabba the Hutt's people told me that they're going to die by the time they're 50 because I didn't work out and put on a bikini and flex my butt on stage for them. You know? And go compete in the retard Olympics and shit and show them I can run a little bit faster than someone else or something. And obviously, in some tight spandex and a bikini. Ain't no point to hiding that body from the world, is it? Unless you have class and don't like rapists. I guess there's no point in showing that body to the world. Pointless, mainly. But is that what they're doing? Because I've seen this my whole life, and I watch these people evolve to it, and I figured out, you know, like everything's being set up there, and they're the trash. You know, like not only the weird thing is the trash is the one teaching you to do that, and then it looks like they're learning the error of their way when they turn 40, so they start wearing diapers and refuse to get up off the couch. You know, they're just like, fuck you. We're not going to the bathroom. Fuck your house. Fuck your city. Fuck your society. We're gonna piss on you. Which is like, you know, that's a good, viable option. Like when you see, like, there's militaries all over the world and it's the same people. And they've already killed all your ancestors who said no to them once. There's only limited things you can do when you're overpopulated by Nazis and shit. You gotta remove yourself from the equation however you can. And most people are scared of suicide, so obviously. Now, if you was really in on it, you'd be working towards that and not promoting it should be illegal. Again, I've watched people work for Jabba, and then it looks like they're trying to, for all I know, they're not even trying to fight the system. They're trying to become more one with the system and shit, you know? Like Donald Trump, he probably wears diapers, right? Be like the president of the galaxy and shit. Like, he doesn't have time to piss in a toilet. He's sitting there on Twitter all day. and talking about how great he is and how great his race is, and God chose him to eat hamburgers all day. What? I don't know. I can only take a guess by looking at him what I expect to come out of his mouth. I also know clones of him, so yeah, I'm kind of just assuming that the clones are the same software inside each body. So yeah, I kind of got that. But is that what these people are doing? Because it sounds to me, it looked like I'd come this on my own. I'm like, oh, what if you just stop doing what they say? What's going to happen then? They're going to run out of, everyone stops and they're going to run out of jails. And then they're going to have zero workers. And then they're going to have zero people to go around and rape. And then they're going to have to, and then eventually, there'll be these little 90-pound Howard Stern punks running around the street claiming that you're their that they're your boss, and they've got no Nazis to protect them and shit. Because no one would be participating in shit. So if you flush their society down the drain the best you can, then it's always going to end for them. Now, what doesn't end for bad for them, it's always going to end bad for them if you start flushing them down the drain. From the literal sense to the figurative sense. You grab their head, you stick it in the toilet, and you kick it down the pipe, flush it, it ends bad for them. You grab their shit, you grab their society, their city, you stick it in the toilet, you flush it, you grab their slaves, you stick them in the toilet, you flush it, it ends bad for them. Now, I'm trying to think, which situations could end good for them? The only times anything seems to be happening good for them is when people say yes to them. And they tell you don't let the vampire in. But it's like, it's kind of hard to do because you got people that's like, you got to worship us or you're going to be tortured forever. Ain't that right, big boy? It's so scary, ain't it? Yeah, you better get to work and shake that ass, big boy. Fucking, that's really all they got. And then that builds the planet, apparently. And then take it away, and they'll be left. Like, I mean, just think where it stop letting people tell you that when you don't exist, bad things are going to happen to you because you don't listen to bad people. And magically it dries up and blow away. If I don't listen to people, if I don't allow people around me to talk about Bigfoot, then Bigfoot in my world has dried up and gone away. I have no idea when flying reindeer are coming around because those people have dried up and blown away. I have no idea when giant bunnies are coming around. Those people have dried up and blown away. But if I go outside during those months, I notice that I've only cleaned my own house and dusted my own house and vacuumed my own house, and it's actually out there still. But my house is definitely clean of it. So my mind is clean of all this dust and dirt. So, I mean, where is it going to be if everyone else cleaned their mind of it? Well, it'd be in this person. I'm going to have my invisible friend torture you if you don't listen to me. Yeah. It'd be awesome. Little, is it a girl? Is it a boy? What's that? It's Pat. It'd be walking around like, Don't poop in diapers. Go use the toilet. You're smelly. I want to touch you. Well, you don't eat right and work out, man. I want to touch you. And why you do that? Fucking. And you're like, who wants to touch you? You're like, Hey, I'll do whatever you say. Just go away. Stop talking. What do you want me to do? Okay. And it made me wonder, watching this stuff because I come to realizations real fast. It's like, oh, it's all set up. It's like, so how far are you willing to go? And what's the mathematical probability you can do anything about people saying no? If you run out of people who say yes, all of a sudden, if everyone looks uglier than Howard Stern, see, instead of 90 pounds, they become 700 pounds, and they get their faces all like Jabba the Hutt's body, but it's a head. You think they'll be obsessed with you anymore and shit? No, they won't. But there's a carrot on a stick in it for you, ain't there? Yeah. And see, the trick is here is by the time you figure out that you ain't hungry no more, it's too late. You done chased the carrot that ain't there. And they done use you up. All the people who die at 50 and 60, bodybuilders, because they're trying to look the sexiest they can for these people and compete in their Olympic events. Well, they figured out a couple days before they died that they use their whole life up for someone else. And you might see a couple famous people on TV who profited off of it too, but they still learn. It looked like the thing is you spend your life working to profit. Once you're 50 and you retire, you realize there's no more life left. You done gave it all, and you're in a walking corpse now that can't enjoy or do anything. That's why they beg on to their last days of life and give all their money for eternal life, because they're like, damn, I work for all this money. What am I going to do with it now? Hulk Hogan's like, take all my money, give me eternal life, and then bam, he dies. He fell for the scheme, and then he fell for the second scheme. Yeah. When if he didn't fall for a scheme in the first place, he could have already figured out not to fall for schemes, and he could have died at 50 without doing all. I'm sure the people on TV have great lives. Don't get me wrong on that one. I'm sure they have better lives than you. That is the carrot on the stick, you know what I'm saying? It's not like they show a gold bar on TV and they're like, do everything we say and you'll get a piece of rock. You'll get a large stone from us in the mail. But I imagine that's the only way. I mean, think about it. Haven't you ever thought about that? How does this happen to these people and shit? How do they let themselves get so far out of hand? Are they actively trying to fight a system that they're actively trying to get you involved in by not telling you they're fighting it? And it makes it like a joke conversation we should just ignore anyways, right? If that's the case, if that's what's happening. If you got people who spend their whole life trying, like Junior Jabas, they hate Java, but there they are still not out thinking the process that they promote. It's kind of hard. I said for like a couple of years after I figured it out, I was still like, oh, I'll read books and all that shit. And just today, like I woke up because I didn't sleep yesterday, so my brain's kind of dead. I woke up and the first thing they showed me is like reading and writing. And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And it took me an hour to be like, yeah, that's a great idea. Yo, yeah. More of the same thing. Reading and writing. Who benefited from that? Who knows? Who knows? Fucking, I got callous. I got hands that became bulletproof, right? Wow. So, a small part of the finger, anyways. Nothing useful. As far as I know. No one benefited from all that. Oh yeah, my ability to read them telling me to read and write. So I guess they'd be benefiting from that, right? But I imagine that's what these people are doing. And if you know these people, then you might be able to see that they're the same people who have never educated you on anything and warned you about anything, for the most part about what's really going on. So you shouldn't expect them to one day be like, well, the reason why I'm doing this is so you stay the fuck away from me and shit. So the other people stay away from me or something. So I imagine that's like the only thing I can think of. Why would you do stuff like that? It's not incontinent. It's they're refusing to get up and go to the restroom, and it looks like on the outside why they're refusing to get up and go in the restroom and wear diapers instead is because they're too fucking lazy and too addicted to TV to go do it. But think about that, and I thought this was a fact for years. And I was like, damn man, this motherfucker's so lazy they don't walk to the room. They don't walk 10 feet to the bathroom. There should be an Olympic event for this. Who can sit there and do nothing for 90 years? Next person can do it 90 years and 3 days. The new marathon winner. But I really should realize that maybe that ain't it. These people seem to be hiding a lot of shit. Not very honest people. And so maybe that's not why they're doing it. Maybe it's not just they're so lazy they won't get up and walk 10 feet to the bathroom. And you can actually see this. George Carlin suggested this like 40 years ago. He said he can't wait to start shitting all over the place and having these scrubs clean up for him and stuff. And you see they killed him too before he got old enough to do that. So he didn't get to... He spent his whole life chasing money, and he never got to do what he wanted to do in life. And he went around telling people those were life goals of one of the richest people in the world. That's what he wanted to do. But they terminated him before he could get to that point. And then, so if they are killing people who figure them out and stuff and start talking about it, well, they can't kill everyone off. So if everyone went along with the plan, they would just have to leave our planet and go back to hell or wherever they came from, right? And so, yeah. All the logic points that's highly illogical to just sit there and never move and become addicted to food instead of good things like drugs, which can actually help you lose weight and shit if you get too far. And then, which they're actually on lots of drugs, they're just not on good drugs. So it's on drugs that keep them alive, and then that's still raking in money to Java, because Java's got many systems here. We've got the St. Java hospital system, and that still takes money, and gives money to Lord Java. And people in your life tell you this stuff too, and you kind of ignore it. When you're a kid, you're like, because they're telling you, those are racist Nazis, and you're like, they're using welfare people to leech off people. It's like, yeah, they sure are. But you're like 14, so it's like, well, that's probably true because I'm 14, and I'm not allowed to get a legal job. But I actually do go work this illegal job over here, so that's not true either, because they're making a lot of money. Yeah, that makes sense though. Like George Carlin says, I'm sure, obviously, I'm not the first person to notice that. When he used to say that, I used to be like, oh, that's kind of sick. But then I watch people around me, uh, you know, become this, and then like I said, at first my first thought was, oh, this person's so lazy they don't want to get up off the couch and stop watching the commercial to go use the bathroom. And then, of course, St. Jaba's medical medical system there tells you that there's such thing as incontinence and all that. Because St. Jaba's got a lot of lies. Invisible people, everything he talks about is invisible bullshit, isn't it? There's invisible reindeer, invisible people, invisible goats controlling those people, so you can't really do anything about the visible people doing those things they're doing, things like that. The media's, the internet's ran by invisible people, don't exist, so it's free. And TV is real because it's videos of people and stuff. And just... they're number one. Java's number one, too. I mean, the lie begins pretty early on. The lie continues to replicate. So, is there such thing as incontinence? Because the people talking about that are people tell you there's flying invisible reindeer, right? And we know that we shouldn't be listening to anything they say in the first place. And we shouldn't be allowing our children to hang out with them unless we want to watch our children have sex with people. So, this right here, though, I came to this through realization, not because anyone rats themselves out, but because I watched their patterns, and I was like, and I've always questioned, like, how does that happen and stuff? And the obvious answer comes way early. It's like, well, these people hate life and they want to die, but they're scared to do anything about it. But then that's counteracted with another truth. Well, these are the people who made it illegal to want to die. So they would be the own people they hate, and it's their own problem, not yours. You can't stop stupid. So, but more recently I realized, like, that's, like, effective and shit, If I can't, if you got them, okay, so think of the time they sent little baby Joey, precious Lord Joey in the manger, down to try to kill me, and he died, right? Now, if I was 900 pounds and couldn't move, first of all, I wouldn't be out there for them to set that up. And they would have to make it real obvious breaking into my house to try to kill me. And second of all, I would have been too fat to go to court. And then the court at USA's Columbus, Ohio, Israel, Rome, the judicial system, the cops, the judges, they would have had to bring all their money together to get a crane to remove me from my house and take me to court every day and get the crane to remove me back. And then they have to replace all that furniture I sat in that I broke too, because they don't have furniture for my size and shit. And that'd be a huge drain on their system. But instead, whose system was a huge drain for? It was for me. It took close to $250,000 in cash alone. And then my life, trillions. My blood, they drained trillions of it. But if I would have just continually eat and not been working out to be a sexy little gay male dancer at the bodybuilding competition, then there's a good chance I could have been 900 pounds by then. And I could have been a drain on them. I could have wrapped my arms around them like they do you. Come here, baby, give me a hug. But instead, I'm an anchor wrapped around their neck. Think about it. Now, see, you're not thinking about this when you're a baby because some pedophile terrorists just erase your brain at Saint Pedophiles. So you don't have any memories of participating in this event before because pedophile erased your brain at birth. Your pedophile parents, along with their pedophile religions and pedophile cities, pedophile nations, the pedophiles of the world. Anyway, so you don't really have these memories. So now your brain is completely blank, and you've got Jabba the Hutt telling you how great life is and to work for him, and Donald Trump tells you how great life is and to work for him and all that shit, right? And life will get better one day and all. Meanwhile, whose life better for? 80-year-old Jabba the Trump is leading this Miss America pageant and purchasing, probably not, he's probably gotten blackmailed. He's blackmailing the contestants into being his wives for free. So he's gathering up the people he thinks is the world's sexiest people and shit. So that's where your life's going to go if you're on that half, is you're going to be dating Donald Trump, 80-year-old Donald Trump when you're 30. As the king of the planet right now, bro. You can't even deny that's happening. But that's an amazing example. That's probably what these people thought they were doing their whole life, putting on their makeup and going to the gym and shit. I mean, you can see more examples too. Who do you think's taking all those people's pictures? How do you think, who's giving them all that money to go to those vacations? Probably the same person taking the pictures. Who takes the pictures at the Miss American pageant? Donald Trump. That's right. His media is the one filming it. So, maybe these people know something. It's great. And it's amazing. And there's nothing else. What are you going to do? Are you really just going to sit there and date Donald Trump like Melania does? These are your options in life. Melania could have taken the option of just eating and refusing to do a bunch of coke and eat salads every day so she could remain Miss America and shit. Or Miss whatever nation he got her from. He imported her. It's almost, if you look at the human population, it's almost like right now they got a base somewhere, and their base have figured them out. So their base have turned this way, and now they're having to import other people to do work and to be their wives and shit. That's a story you hear about them. Is they're like mold. And it just deadly destroys the bread, and then it destroys the surrounding bread, and then there's the surrounding bread, and then the core is rotted out. There's nothing left. And then so they move on to one of the new places that they've been using the previous bread they've been eating to secure. It's an ancient story passed down by word of mouth by so many people. Even I get to hear it 100 million times. And that's a good example. But the thing is like Melania, whatever nation she came from, that's like the edge of the bread, right? But let's say she was from America. Kind of weird he didn't find anyone from America. But we're going to act like there's someone like that in America. Let's say he found her. So, wait, is she going to refresh the bread? Make a new loaf for him or something? Like, come on. Get real. But I imagine that might be why they're doing this stuff, because I've always wondered, like, why would anyone do that shit? Why would anyone do that shit? And, I watch generations do this too. Like, obviously, the people who are already dead, I watched that happen to them, and I was like, oh, well, like, life's getting pretty bad for them. And they don't want to be alive, so they don't care anymore. They don't watch what they eat. They don't go anywhere. There's no purpose for it. They don't expect to find anyone or do anything. And so they got out of shape, right? No big deal there. But I watch these other people. I mean, and they didn't. I get shown lots of everything. So I get shown supporting evidence that they were already doing that. They were already just not worrying about pissing themselves and shit. There just wasn't diapers everywhere back then. So, but I imagine now the purpose to wearing a diaper, I mean, obviously, you got to go to some extreme lengths there. Because that means you don't care if you smell like shit or piss. But there's also that opposing thing that you might want to smell like shit and piss to keep people away from you. There's also that part of it there. Again, I don't think we're not gonna get too much information out of people who aren't being honest. But hey, that's what Carlin said, and he's known for being one of the honest people, right? Carlin said he can't wait to get older and do that. And he was like, I'm too busy working to do it. And he was like, the answer, and he said the same thing I do. The answer is, to kill yourself. But he's too busy working to think about that. And it's like, well, that's what you're doing. And he was too busy working to fulfill any of his life plans because he died working. And it's always a bad example to use rich people, because it just tugs on your heartstrings, don't it, when they tell you life is bad and you can't always get what you want and stuff, and and they're doing burnouts around you in their Lamborghini and throwing eggs at you and stuff. There's always, some in me says I just not. I gotta go clean this egg off my face that was just thrown at me. But I imagine that might be what they're doing here. Because it really doesn't make sense to go so far out of the way and shit. It feels like physically painful, and they're threatening you all the time. You're gonna die of heart disease and all this. It's like, and then, but so you chase a carrot. But by the time I get 40, I realize, like, you know what? The people around me who were gonna die of heart disease they died when they were 80 years old, which is longer than the average life expectancy. Huh. So that seems like it could be a lie there. And it does feel weird. And you gotta realize, once you see how fake the world is, you might as well throw your emotions in the trash. And don't listen to that, because who knows when someone's breaking your back or giving you a plague. They tell you that too. Jeffrey Epstein tells you in his Bible that he gives people's plagues. And then what happens? You go give St. Jeffrey Epstein Memorial your money to help cure it and shit. Yeah. Fucking. And then you still die at 80, Whether the person who went to go get their antibiotics still lived 80, as the person who didn't go get their antibiotics probably still lived 80. It's like the person who worked out. Are they living to 200 now? No. But yeah, that's a pretty important thing to notice there. So no one's telling you that, and of course the media ain't telling you that because they got a bunch of trash to sell you. Your teachers ain't telling you that because your teachers are like teaching you the trash. Their job is to get paid to teach the trash. And your parents are busy buying into it. That's why they had you, and they don't. I imagine some of them aren't telling you they're trying to have you have a child to offset the cost of the high price of cost they paid for life. That'd be the last thing you'd want to tell someone. How many times do you hear a man or a woman tell their husband or wife that the reason they're there is to bring them in money and work for them? I've only heard that in personal conversations when the other person wasn't there. I'm pretty sure. We've definitely had those conversations. And, yeah. I don't know how many times they actually tell each other that type of shit. But, pretty sure that could be happening. Why is Melania in Lord of the Universe's life? Why do you think that is? Well, she met him because he was paying her to do her lesbian porno shoots and dance around on stage in Miss America or whatever. So now he's like the world's richest man or second. And now she's back in his life. I can only imagine. I can only imagine why that is. You know, I don't think there's many options there. Yeah. Yeah, they don't live a similar lifestyle. He's not, you know, Mr. America, king of the beauty pageants and shit, in his gay porno shoots. What do they have in common? Fucking, other than one was the boss, and one was the worker. There you go. That's what they got. That's the relationship in the past. So, anyways, yeah. So, and these people might not even be to the point where they're fighting anything external outside of what they created anymore. They might be fighting off people around them and shit. Like, I know when I'm with people and there's no point for me to be there, I'm not going to continue to take care of myself for their benefit and shit. You know, I was with someone who stopped using the bathroom and all that shit, and I just started avoiding them and figured I'm best sit in my chair till I die, because that's all there's going to be for the rest of my life. And yeah. So how many of those people do you think are doing that? Because I think of doing that. I have a hard time doing that shit. But I definitely think of doing that all the time. And then I also think of like what will happen, like the scare tactics, right? Like what's going to happen if you don't participate, because you've already experienced it. It's not just fear. They come at you with the fear, and then they come at you with the force too. The fear isn't just empty words, you know. People didn't arrive in America with empty words of give us the land or else, you know, one day it will stop raining and the lightning will stop striking and the trees will stop growing. They came in, they said those things, and then one day something else entirely happened. One day someone cut down the trees. One day someone took all the water, you know. But, yeah, I mean, that's all it feels like since you come here. And like I said, there's kind of no sympathy, so it's kind of hard to get on board with seeing. There's at least an obvious 10% possibility, but in reality, I think it's a 33% chance, a 1 in 3 chance of why these things could possibly happen. A person gives up on life for no reason. A person gives up on life for some reason. Technically, right there, we're at a 50-50 chance. Are they giving up for no reason, or are they giving up for some reason? You do the 50-50 one, and then the 50 has a 50% chance of having a different reason why they gave up, a reason they gave up. You know, was it because of someone else? Or who? But yeah, I see that, and I've seen that like several times now, and I got the idea that these people are just like saying fuck you. I've seen like a 50-year-old wearing diapers, and everyone made fun of him. But I think the thing is that they're making fun of you. I think the thing is he just didn't care anymore, and people were trying to force him to care about them, you know. And now he's he's flipping the script, just like George Carlin said. He wants to flip the script. He wants to force them to care about him. Not really. He just wants to piss them off for it. But that's how you do it. You know, someone comes up to you and they'd be like, come over here and build my pyramid for you. And you're like, chop off your hand. You'd be like, I can't build a pyramid today. I can't even feed myself. You're going to have someone feed me now. And they're like, I lost that battle. I can't believe I'm so stupid. I lost the battle. And of course, like if I'm correct here, the fear, you know, the endless stream of fear, they're going to have you worried what happens next. You're always supposed to be worried what happens next. And let me tell you, worrying about it or not, it looks like the same thing happens. So like I sit around not really worrying about what happens next, and practically the same shit happened that would happen the few times I worried about what happens next. So, technically it was a little bit better because I didn't spend all those days in fear of like, oh, what's going to happen? Or what are they doing next? Well, this is obvious what they're going to do next. Let me sit around and worry about it. Are they going to not do it? If I do this, you know, if I go dance on stage, and I mean, once you learn how fake it is, you realize you won't be dancing on stage anyways. Melania was probably picked when she was born and stuff. She comes out from Khazaria or something, doesn't she? So, isn't that weird? She would have been born like 40 years ago, but at this point in time, it's like the highlight of the world where she comes from and shit. So, I doubt they just started thinking about that place today. They probably started thinking about it 50 years ago or so, or longer actually. But, you know, so there's evidence there that was probably set a long time ago too. Hand selecting people, that is what you would do. You know, if you're a person and you're not just looking for the next person you can get $2 off of, that's what you would do if you were choosing a wife or a husband. You would travel the whole world. Well, hopefully not have to, right? You would look around. Someone like Donald Trump, you should be world leader. You should definitely be looking around. It didn't look like he did that for a while. They might have been bringing people to him. There's some weird thing if you look at the people there. Not sure if he was selecting certain bloodlines or they were giving him certain people, you know. But it looks suspect for like rich TV people to date nobodies. It looks suspect when Reagan dates Nancy, except for they might be related. You know, like she seems like a not even bimbo capable, but that shit looks suspect. Like, yeah, you're gonna lead the nation, but you're gonna date some loudmouth bird. So the children of the president are gonna be loudmouth bird presidents. Okay, that's thinking it through there. That shit looks suspect. But then you look at history, and every day before 40 years ago, for 16,000 years, all that shit was arranged for all of history, for everyone, including the lowest of the slaves, like Melania, who probably, obviously, wouldn't have been from those classes if selected 40 years ago, or longer. But yeah. Anyway, so maybe some of these people have it figured out because to me, this seems like a viable path. I mean, obviously George Carlin said it, right? So you don't take it from me, you can take it from him. That he said he can't wait for that. Why is that? What was he experiencing while he was telling you a bunch of it? He was telling you this other shit I'm telling you is happening too. And he was just saying, you're not part of it. So what's his goal in life? His goal in life is to get to the age where he can be like, I got dementia and just shit all over the place and keep them away from him and make him clean it up and stuff. And then they killed him. He died, right? He died. Whatever. Looked like he stressed himself out a lot. He might have been trying to kill himself a lot. You can see some of those stars are doing that. It just obviously takes a hell of a lot to do it if you've ever done it. And it looks like some fantasy princess Disney movie when it's on TV. And I never see it happen that way. So I hear about this or that. Hell, I asked to go to someone's funeral to make I could verify they're dead. I didn't even get that part, so I can't. The one person I heard about killing themselves, I can't even confirm that was real. Yeah. But these other people, man, they didn't die by the time they were 20 of heart disease and shit. And they don't live in this. Could you imagine if you were born in 1980, you would have been told there's no way you could live a life where you just lay around and shit in diapers because they were just inventing nursing homes and stuff. But so that was the reason you couldn't do that, and you had to work really hard to make sure that doesn't happen because no one's going to be there to change your diaper for you when you get older. And so they believe that, and then there's no one there to change their diaper for them, so they just didn't even wear diapers. But then there's the new age here, where they have all that shit. That's a weird thing. Anyway, so I don't know. I'm not like jealous of these people necessarily. I don't know. It takes a lot of will to say no to yourself. You know, like you know what, I should go use a bathroom because the couch is gonna smell like piss if I piss on it. It takes a lot of will to just be like, you know what, that's not gonna bother me. It takes a lot of will to be like, you know what, I'm not gonna go to the gym today, and I'm just gonna eat all day, and because that actually hurts to eat a lot and stuff. So it's like kind of hard work sometimes. That's another weird thing, how that happens. If it's like painful to get there too, it's almost like people are working towards a goal and stuff. It's like going to the gym. It's kind of painful, you know. They're working towards a goal there, but so they keep doing it. It's like punching stuff, you know. No short of pain there. You know, like playing bass. No short of pain there, but I keep doing it because I'm working towards the goal. All this time, we might be getting fooled by people who are doing this on purpose. And I can definitely see that in at least one person's personality, being the type of person to say no, you know. I can definitely see that in there. It's not like people are generally weak, and it's not like those people were weak. I don't know. It's like they don't want to tell you that There's a huge portion there too. Is you're chasing the carrot on the stick, and then you don't know it because no one's telling you because everyone's working on it. They don't want to admit they were deceived or they're deceiving you, but they don't tell you. Well, retirement, that's a scam. It's a bit of a scam there. They do say sometimes Social Security retirement it could be a scam and stuff because and they got that generational argument and they're like the old people are stealing and then they say the old people are stealing from the younger with it and stuff. I think it used to be the other argument, but once you get 60 I guess you kind of realize like, well, I'm retired because I have to be because I can't move anymore. I can't do anything. So, like, I had no option but to retire at 60 and shit. Anyways, hey, ain't that weird? George Carlin said it 40 years before me. And I'm just trying to, without pointing out any names and without much evidence at all, I'm trying to point out that there's a new thing. There wasn't wearing diapers when George Carlin talked about this. And it kind of, and then I'd met this one stranger person and everyone made fun of him. And I kind of thought the whole time, he was laughing, he was walking around laughing and people were like, oh, it's diaper head. And I was like, and he said something. He even said something related to it too, because I was making myself look good, doing my hair and putting on my suit and stuff. And he was like, "Why are you doing all that?" I was like, "Cause I'm going to make some videos and stuff." And back when I used to prep for videos, and he was just always smiling and laughing and walking around in his diaper and stuff. He didn't even put pants on. He just walked around in his diaper. He didn't care. And he was like, "Why are you doing that? That's stupid." And I was like, "Cause I'm going to make a video." And the whole time everyone's making fun. I was like, "Cause I'm going to make a video, diaper head." Fucking but the whole time he's laughing. He thinks it's funny that I'm calling him diaper head and everyone else is calling him shit for brains and stuff. And he's laughing the whole time. And the fact of the matter is everyone else is walking around having to deal with it. Right? And he's used to it, so it's probably not bothering him at all. And what does he do? He doesn't have to waste time going to the bathroom ever again. He doesn't have to. It probably, who knows, maybe someone else is coming to change his diapers and shit. But he looked like he'd figured life out. He was one of those Indian-looking people. He looked like kind of like a Buddha and stuff. And he was just happy all the time. And I can't say the other people I know like that were happy all the time, but that's kind of weird that that's the next one I meet and stuff. He looks like he's got it figured out and he's got life planned out and everything's going good for him. Everyone else is running around calling him diaper head and they're rushing to get to work and stuff, and I'm getting the idea he's not going out. They're not going to let him in any place to work walking around in his diaper and stuff. So I imagine he's the only one not being forced to leave this building to go to work. He gave up on being Karen. He gave up on being Karen, right? Which you're supposed to be a Karen. You're supposed to care about everything and then be jerked around by that shit. You're supposed to care about everything. You're supposed to care about Karen. You're supposed to care about people wearing diapers. You're supposed to care about, because you don't want to be like that and stuff. And it does sound pretty bad, but you got to realize you get used to things real fast in life. It probably take you a couple days before you're just like, well, if something happened to you and for some physical reason and you had to wear a diaper, it'd probably take you 2 days before you're just like, well, we're going to be sending diapers the rest of the time. pass the popcorn, and someone would be like, you got shit on your hands. You're not touching my food. And then they grab the popcorn and be like, well, it's not your popcorn anymore, is it? Fucking, and then who's laughing still? Is it you laughing? You gonna punch the person and get shit on your hand? Or are you gonna punch them and they're gonna grab your phone and call the cops and be like, they just punched me? I mean, are these people thinking this shit through? Because it makes sense. It makes sense if you look at things at the right angle. Things don't look stupid. If you can always look at something stupid and find something that looks like it makes sense in the shit. Almost always. Trying to think of the thing it doesn't. If I smash a computer, but I gotta go buy a new one, well, it makes sense to smash the computer. Fuck computers, right? If I smash the TV, throw the TV out the window. Maybe later in life I want to buy one again. Makes sense to smash the TV anyway, so it's just, oops, now I'm gonna have to hold off until I can afford another one. It makes sense right then and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, hey, maybe they're up to, maybe they know more than they're letting on. And there could be many reasons. One of them could be the fear thing, where they don't want to tell people what they're up to, and because other people will get all pissy about it themselves, and like, hey, I might assume one of the people I know who's pissy, I might assume they were doing that to keep me away from them and shit. I just assumed they were too lazy to take care of themselves, and they did that, but they acted like they didn't want me, but they wanted me in the house with them, and they acted like they didn't want me around them, but they wanted to make sure I remained unable to leave the house. So what better way to do that? They didn't want me to touch them, but they didn't want me to leave the house. Would be to make yourself smell like piss and shit, because I'm not going to go around you. And then, of course, you're going to have to do other things for the other half. But it makes logical sense there, because every now and then I would hug them so they wouldn't try to kill me and stuff, to make them think I loved them and stuff. And be like, I love you, give me a hug. Okay, I'm going back downstairs for the next 3 weeks, or upstairs, or whatever. I'll see you at the end of the month. And so I kind of imagine that they might have been doing that purposefully to make sure I don't come within like 6 feet of them and stuff. And you really think, like, who would do that if you're not anywhere near, if you're 20 years old or 15, you're new to Earth, you just had your memories erased, so you don't know what's going on here. And your head's full of a whole bunch of shit. Yeah. Because everything's going to be all great, right? You're never going to meet any of these people I just explained. I'm making them all up. Not a single one of them exists on this planet. Okay. Alright. Yeah. I wish, And sometimes I definitely wish, because I can still kind of smell it sometimes, and other things related to it. So that's a good lesson to learn. So when I'm 80 and I choose my next friend in life, I make sure I question them. Do you pee in the toilet? Because, well, you'd be able to know if they're in 6 feet of you, right? But it's a good thing to know when you smell that. Like, well, we should probably not talk to this person, because this is ammonia. It burns my tissues and makes me puke. There's a learning experience. It's a learning experience, right? Yeah. You're learning all this stuff, aren't you? You learn that for some reason George Carlin, a rich guy on TV, was looking forward to doing that. Don't you think a rich person would have something better to do in life than look forward to being in a nursing home so he can shit in the bed? And all these things you could supposedly do on this planet. And you got a person with money telling you that they're looking forward to that. There must be no logical explanation for that one, right? Until you get older and you start questioning if there are logical, if the logic you can come up with to explain things is actually what's driving a lot of things, and not just random mistakes people make every 5 minutes or something for the rest of their life. I question that too about the dementia thing, because I always question like mentally disabled people, because I'm like, oh, you're having pretty good fun. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good over there. And the dementia person, like, they just didn't have to give it. They didn't have to act anymore. They could just be like, whatever, and, you know? And you had to be like, everyone's like, oh, they got dementia. And then they get mad, too, about it. If it was like, you got dementia, they'd hit you. It's like you're insulting their intelligence or something. It's like, I don't have dementia, you retard. It's like, oh, I wonder, you know, because you got that Carlin talking about that, and I see those things happening. Anyways, and you see, it's kind of like all the same shit on repeat, and I mean, how you got those rich people telling you that shit too. Yet Donald Trump still dating the same woman he was when he was 40 years old, 40 years ago. And she probably don't like him. I don't know. He was younger. He might have liked her back then. She might have liked him, but yeah. I mean, shit. I'm still dealing with some of the same shit I was dealing with back then too. I don't have, they just rename it. I don't have ADHD. I got something else now. It's a different drug to sell me. Apparently now I don't have ADHD. So there's like these 20 years where I get drugged because I had ADHD. But now I never had it. So, I mean, that's literally what you're dealing with. Oh yeah, you need to be wearing diapers and refusing to go to the bathroom. I ain't got ADHD, motherfucker. I got shit in my diaper. What are you wasting my time talking to me about ADHD for, man? Can't you smell that? You need to clean my ass. You need to wipe my ass, man. That shit's fucking gonna get worse and worse, man. It's gonna start falling all over your carpet and shit. Man, why are you wasting life talking about ADHD when you got shit all over your carpet? I mean, literal feces in your carpet, man. What are you doing? Where is your life headed? Where do you think this is a cumulative effect of your life choices are going to lead when you're deciding to talk about ADHD all the time? Well, you've got shit piling up, new loads of feces, diarrhea, and turds and slops is piling up all over your carpet every fucking day because you're refusing to clean it up. And you're talking to me about ADHD. ADHD. It sounds like a response. It sounds like that. Ain't that what Carlin said? This looks like a response, like someone was going around telling these people, oh, they got BDND, give them all their money and blood. And they're like, oh yeah, okay. And then they finally wised up and got to the point where they're like, you know what I've got? I've got a bunch of shit in my ass for you to have. And I'd like you to have the shit that you deserve. You've been filling me with shit for a while, and now it's coming out my ass. And now it's coming back to you. Fucking, I see that as a perfect fucking response and shit. Perfect, isn't that exactly what Carlin was saying? That was filling his mouth with shit, filling him with shit, and then he can't wait till the day he gets old enough where he can evacuate the shit from his body and force him to clean it up for him.